I ask you, do you know that there's not enough gold and I would even say silver combined to have paid for all the wars that the United States of America has been into and all of the policies that they've had, all of the programs that they've done? There's not enough. So what does that mean? Well, that means, if you think about it, that's the main reason we were taken off the gold standard. Back in the 30s and then 71, Nixon took us completely off of any semblance of any relation of the Federal Reserve note, the dollar, to gold, as it is. So from there, it's just been a free reign. You can print however much they want. They can make however many digits they want, and there's no end to it. I mean, there's no circumstance that's going to prevent them from doing that. So what does that say? That says that all these wars and all these programs that we've had, that's how they're doing them. Because if there was some sort of ceiling to it, some gold standard, some other rules or regulations, something to say, hey, you can't do this, you can't afford this war, you can't afford this program, you can't afford to do this, you can't afford to have this for the Senate, you can afford to have this for the Congress, you can afford to have this structural thing that you want done, whether society or the citizens want it or not. You can't afford to do it. But if it's really important and you can get the citizens behind you, you can get people involved and people excited for this thing, then bring it out there. Let them get on board and let them try to contribute to this. Let them contribute. There was a time back in the day where there was war bonds. There was actually ads for war bonds. You can purchase your war bonds. Get behind us. Get behind your government. Uncle Sam wants you to buy war bonds. You bought war bonds because you were supporting whatever it is they were putting out there for to protect the country or to try to get freedom to another country. Whatever it is they were pushing out there to sell, they push these ads, they push this marketing thing for you to buy war bonds, and that's how they accomplished it. That's how the government got it done. But that was a problem because if people didn't want to be involved with this, if they didn't want this war to happen, they didn't want the government doing these things, then the people would not buy these things. They wouldn't be a part of it. So what happened is they took us off the gold standard completely, and then there's no need to say, hey, citizens, this is what we want to do. You need to support us because this needs to be done. If the citizens don't agree, then the government has no power to that. Well, you take off the gold standard, so what they do is they print this money, they make more digits, and then they can do whatever they want while they are taking down the purchasing power or the value of all the currency you and I hold. So they can pay for their wars that they want to have happen. They can pay for their programs that they want to have go on. They can pay for X, Y, Z for the government if that's what they wish, because they have an unlimited press. They can print as much as they want. They can make as many digits as they want to do what they want to do when they want to do it. Until that time, when there was some sort of gold standard, the government was not allowed to do that, not able to do that. That's why they took us off that. And that's how countries inflate and get in hyperinflation. And then once you're in hyperinflation, that's it. That's the end. There's no going back. That's the end of that sort of currency. That's the end of that run. And then when that crash and everything hits hard, few people come out on top. Usually the elites and politicians. Everyone else suffers. And everyone else drops down a few pegs. And there's no way they can climb back. Usually. I mean, that's just the way it happens. So why am I saying this? Well, I was looking up what's the definition of money. And I just went online and I just just type in what is the definition of money. Because I know how I should understand it, how it should be understood from the years that I've looked into this. And I ran across the definition of money is a current medium of exchange in the form of coins and banknotes. I mean, there's a little more to it that talks about banknotes and banknotes collectively. And I was pulled back. I was like, That's not the definition of money. Because money has intrinsic value. It has to have an intrinsic value. Banknotes, the Federal Reserve, paper dollars, digits have zero intrinsic value. There's nothing. I mean, if people don't want them because they're worthless, or people don't want them because of whatever the reasoning is, they have no intrinsic value whatsoever. You can't do anything with them. Really, the digits you can't even start a fire with. At least the banknotes, the paper, you can at least start a fire with. But is that some reason to hold it? Do you not have paper elsewhere? Can you not burn leaves? So that's not anywhere of any intrinsic value to it. So that's what money has to have. But I've noticed, well, they changed the definition, because I went back and I looked up in an older dictionary. And I was like, this has got to be wrong. They have to have updated this to keep the population and keep people dumbed down, because that was always my standing on government schools, public schools, as people call them. When I was in there, I always felt like it was just dumbing society down and keeping people dumbed down, because stuff that they're pushing and people are learning in the schools, even at a young age, I saw no point in it and no reason for it, really. But I did what I had to do to pass. And then once it was done, there was no looking back. I mean, that was just, sorry, kind of tangent there, but anyways. So the definition, when I looked up online, look up any dictionary site or Google it or search engine it, and it says for coins and banknotes. And that's what threw me for a loop. So I looked up the definition in an older dictionary, a paper dictionary, one that's not digitized. Flipped through it, and it says the definition of money. It had a lot more to this, but this was the full gamut of it. It said coin, gold, silver, or other metal stamped by public authority and used as the medium of exchange. Any equivalent for commodities and for which individuals readily exchange their goods or services. Money itself must have value and or use. Period. So banknotes don't have an intrinsic value to them. Paper doesn't have an intrinsic value to it. Digits don't have an intrinsic value to it. The only reason a digit would be any good is if it's backed up by something that had value, like the Federal Reserve note used to be backed up by gold. That's like, I hold this paper, that means I own this much gold. Or I own this much thing that has intrinsic value. So this is my receipt. That's all the paper notes were, the bank notes were. It was just a receipt for something that showed this has intrinsic value. That's all it was. And now that's been taken away since 1971, August 15th of 1971, completely taken away. So the things we hold now have no intrinsic value. We're talking paper digits. And just looking at that as how they're rewriting even the definition of things. I was like, I gotta have people look into this. I mean, if you're interested, look into this. I couldn't believe it myself. So then it got me a question is what are you going to do? Because I asked myself the same question. When people stop accepting these banknotes and these digits that have no intrinsic value, what are you going to do? Because that time's going to come. Inflation, which is here, and then hyperinflation. And then pretty soon people say, well, we've got it. The game's over. The game's done. We're not accepting this anymore. What are you going to do? You might be sitting on a whole bunch of digits in your bank account or a whole bunch of cash in your mattress or somewhere else. And when no one wants it or accepts it for anything, what are you going to do? I know, like I've been saying in my videos, the best thing to do is not treat that you're buying stuff, not to say I'm purchasing items with these Federal Reserve notes or these digits. What I am doing is I'm selling these Federal Reserve notes and these digits that are losing value faster than ice on a hot summer day. And I'm I'm trading the stuff that's worth less and becoming worthless for something that has real intrinsic value, something that I can use myself, my family, now or in the future. And I know I've talked about the gold, silver, even platinum, palladium, copper. I mean, anything on the metal spectrum that holds some sort of value to it. People use it, they need it for electronics, for vehicles, for this green stuff, windmills, the cars, that kind of stuff. And there's also the stuff of food, shelter. I mean, anything that's going to protect you and provide for yourself and your family because you've earned it. You've put your labor into it. That's all money is. Really, it's just something that you can say, hey, I worked this many years, I've worked this many hours, I put my labor into this thing for this long, or these things for this long, and it's just an accumulation showing this is my labor here. So this is how much labor I've done, and for my labor, I'm going to purchase the items I wish to have or I need, whether it's food or energy or precious metals or, I mean, you name it. I'm using my labor, the labor that I've spent. I mean, the labor that I've in the past that I've had, that I've, worked for someone else, worked for myself. My labor that I put into it, that I've accumulated, so it's a tally, is all money really is a tally, especially these Federal Reserve notes. It's nothing more than just a record, a digital record or a paper record, because it has no intrinsic value, like I've said. You can't use it for anything else really. So you're trading these worthless things for something of real value because your labor is real value. You really made something. You helped create something. You helped something for somebody else. You've helped someone with a service. That's what your labor is. You spent your labor. Your money comes from your labor, your time and your effort. So that's why it has to have intrinsic value. And these Federal Reserve notes and these digits do not have that. So you just got to ask yourself, what are you going to do when people stop accepting them? Because that time is, in my opinion, it's right around the corner. It's here because they're accepting less, or you're getting less for how much you have, how much labor you've had in the past, how much you've accumulated. You're getting less for that now, I should say. And there will come a time when they're going to stop accepting these paper digits, or these paper or these digits, I should say. So just think about that. I was thrown away like the change of the definition. And that just makes me want to look into it and see what else has been changed definition-wise and elsewhere. But anyways, as always, thank you for watching. Stay vigilant. Protect yourself. Protect your family. Protect your health.